And you have the version that sabotages you, the gremlin. And this reminds me of a very famous Native American fable of the two wolves. Okay? Now, for those of you who don't know, it goes like this. There's a grandfather and a grandson who go on a walk, and the grandfather turns to the boy and says, "There is a great battle that's raging inside every person on earth. And this is a battle between two wolves. The first wolf symbolizes shame, envy, anger, hatred towards others, self-hatred. The second wolf symbolizes love, empathy, connection, joy. And then they just keep walking. And the boy thinks about this a little bit and then turns to his grandfather and asks, "Hey, grandfather, so who wins the battle between the wolves?" And the grandfather turns to the boy and says, "The one that you feed." And so I really want you to think about this. Which one do you feed? Because your students cannot afford to have you feed the one that's going to sabotage you. They need you to feed the one that will lead you to be self-compassionate towards yourself, so that you can do the things that you know are important for them. Now, I want to show you 3 things that I thought about that are critical. One sec, just in 1 sec. Let me finish that and I'll take it, okay? That I think are critical to feed the wolves, the wolf that actually leads to self-compassion and love. And these are the 3 ways that I think are critical. Number 1, remember that you are not your inner critic. Your inner critic is a voice in your, but that's not you. That's number 1, okay? Remember, there's a difference between that voice and who you are. That's number 1. And if you gain awareness about that voice, the more awareness, and that's why mindfulness is so important, the more awareness you gain about that, the more able you are to choose a different path and move on with that path. The second thing, surround yourself with social support. And I mean it very, very strongly. The most resilient people in the world are ones that have a very strong social support network that they can lean on at any time. And when the shit hits the fan, and it will, you need that social support. Now, women know this a lot better than men. It's true. Like, by far. And I had a revelation this year that I've been telling people about this, but I haven't been practicing this myself. And I finally started practicing it this year, and my success, like mushroom. Now, I'm not saying that to it sounds pompous for me to say it, but my point is that it's not me, like it's my social support, that's helping me succeed, okay? The last thing is learn to treat yourself with self-compassion, especially when things get hard. That is so freaking critical. It's where it all begins. I'm going to end with one quote, and then I'll take your question. And I love this quote, and I think it's something that we should all remember. I'll just read it to you. This is from Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Ladies like you haven't let your light shine, it's time. Thank you.
So first of all, this is a brilliant session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lovely. We did a very small exercise with children where all the children had one common interest, that was music. In India, actually, music is not, I don't know how it's in the US, but in India, music is not considered to be.
Neither in the US.
So, as a career, it would be definitely done. And when we did this exercise with a lot of people from the industry, having great interaction and stuff like that, all the children were absolutely charged and they were picked up. But then the question came, actually, the same question as to how do I deal with failures? Okay. How do I deal with failures? Okay. When do I stop?
Yeah.
How should I? And it's pretty much the confidence that you have.
Yeah.
I can relate to the points that you're saying, have to be compassionate and all these points.
Right.
But that's as an adult. So I'm a little intrigued. And you said that you did the same thing with children.
Yeah.
So how do you answer that question? Because they will. How do you say self-compassion? How do you understand those things? To that extent.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So,
Or how to make them. I would love them to understand. But I would like to know how.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand your question. You would like to know how I help kids understand self-compassion?
Not only that, once you the creative when you're saying that all of us would have our gremlins, the gremlins
Yeah.
say these things,
Sure.
and then if for example what the gremlin said actually turns out to be true,
Right.
there's a negative
Yeah.
self-fulfilling
Reinforcement,
processing, and so on and so forth. It's a negative spiral. Now, as an adult, we can go back and say, oh, yeah, let me just evaluate,
Yeah.
be passionate, and all this kind of stuff. But how do you do that to children?
good question. So, first of all, you should know that
I teach 11th and 12th graders. Okay? So I teach kids who are really about to be adults. Okay? I don't have experience teaching kindergartners. So obviously with a kindergartner, there's a lot of abstraction there, right? That said, do you remember how Sonali said that kids know how to be empathic? Like you don't have to. You don't go out and like teach empathy. You show them that they have it in them. Okay. It's very similar with this.
And you don't see the risk.
No. Here's the thing.
That's where my question. Actually,
Yeah.
should I just tell them that?
Right.
Just
No.
beat your gremlin?
So
That's
no. So here's the thing. You absolutely, before you go into it, you absolutely need to create number one, a safe space. You need to ensure, and I know this because I've done this for years, but you need to know that the kid has support, from other kids. Like you are building a community in which kids can support one another, and you know that they have at least one kid that they can really, go to for support. Now, I have to say, I am a lot more worried about not doing that work than about doing that work. Do you see what I'm saying? 5 years ago, one of my students committed suicide. Okay? And, I spoke in his funeral, and I have to tell you that I felt like I failed that kid, and I basically made a vow to myself that even though these things are hard and they can be, scary at times, doing this work only heals kids. And you know what? It is time to not be afraid to do work that might, raise some difficult things for some kids. Because at the end of the day, they come out better. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's a great question. I just want you to know that. Yeah. And I didn't mean to bring my story, and I felt that it fit, Yeah.
Ronan, I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
I've had some experience with this, and we found that theater in education works wonderfully.
That's huge.
Because children move into suspended disbelief, very quickly, much faster than adults. So, your point that as adults we can dig deep and reflect, but how do you take the same experience to primary school children? And we've been doing it through theater in education.
Yeah.
So they're able, when you present a scenario, they move into it as if it's happening to them. And so the work that you're talking about and all of this wonderful thing can be done with them. It's
Yeah.
just that it goes through this
For
route.
sure.
So I really wanted to share that with you. I hope it
Yeah.
helps. Thank you.
And I have seen it actually being done. I didn't do it myself, but I've seen people kind of bring it to the lower levels. And it's because here's the thing, especially when it comes to emotional intelligence skills, like self-regulation, self-compassion, like that can be taught, like as soon as the kid is 2 years old, like you can teach it at that age even, okay, all the way through. And you know what? My thing is that it's not that just that we can, it's that we should teach it. It's that it has to be taught. Just like everything else that we teach, it's got to be a discipline. Like we teach math, we teach science, we have to teach self-compassion, okay? Like we have to teach these EQ skills. You know how like some people, you ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of kids tell you, oh, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. Well, I want our kids to basically start to say, I want to be happy. And I want to learn how to be happy. And here's the thing, there are trainable skills that we can give them to teach them how to be happy. And so we need to do that. Go ahead.
I would just like to add over here, as teaching EQ skills, I'm an EQ educator. I teach EQ to preschoolers,
Cool.
where self-compassion and all comes when we teach them emotional literacy. When they are aware of their emotions and they are aware what they feel,
Yeah.
then they are able to manage it very well.
Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
So first thing they have to know when we are teaching academics, I would really, really request all the teachers and the principals over here to get into emotional literacy for children.
Yes.
Teach them as a part of your curriculum.
Absolutely.
That will really manage them, and the suicide rates that we are seeing nowadays is going to drastically drop when they know they are aware of their emotions, they are able to manage it very well after that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
So, at least a few more. Ronan, this is your shoe partner, right?
Yes.
I think I'm part of a very startup schools at the moment, and the day the way it has went, Ronnie and all the speakers, I would like to thank Avneeta as well as Karishma for inviting us. It makes us feel that the change is there, and we fail only if we give up. That's what I want to. Should not give up. I think there's a lot of hope. Thank
Right.
you for the day.
Thank
I think
you.
everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be shoot off stage here for a second.
No,
but
not at
before
all.
I do, I just wanted to. I just wanted to really thank you guys for this opportunity. I've learned a ton from you, and it was a real honor and pleasure to be with you today. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Loved the note on which it ended. I think you directly spoke to our hearts, and the way you brought everything back to the students. I think the moment you bring it back to, do you really care enough about them to want to do these things? I think the truth is out there, right? And that will decide whether we give up or not. So thank you for bringing that back into our focus. One other person who wants to share how the day was, just one other person before we close. And while you decide whether you want to share or not, we're just going to quickly pull up our Twitter feed. I want to, at this point, thank our teacher, Rupinder ma'am, who's been diligently sitting at the end, tweeting constantly. In fact, if you go over the last 3 days, the other workshop by Ronnie is also all online, thanks to her social media presence. So thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Any one other person who feels, yes, Venkat?
I have been with education for about 10 years, but the most recent change has been that I am now responsible for a school myself. And I was quite surprised about my own emotions as I went through this workshop. And I think, Ronan, I really appreciate the thoughts that it really gave me some clarity. And normally a person who's quite resistant to writing, I actually picked up a page and wrote. And that's here. And Willie, I really want to, I was quite impressed about the persistence, and especially at the price point that you work in. And somehow I'm a bit fixated with price points, so the earlier lady probably took offense to it, but then that's fine. Yeah, so I just wanted to, I'm letting out the secret. I just wanted to know whether you're going to respond to my question in an offensive way or a defensive way. Yeah, so that's fine. No worry. That's very, it's perfectly fine. Yes, so, yeah, I saw, yes, yes. In fact, that was the reading I was trying to see, whether you would categorize me as a person who is coming with a judgment or a bias. And I could see that you were reading a bias in my response, but that's fine. I can take an offline discussion on that. But then I was trying to test the emotion in you. That's all, nothing else. And the reason I asked is, we also subscribe to all those points that you have said. I subscribe to. But I do believe it's hard work.